is a rock masterpiece. Few critics would challenge that statement. Upon release, it picked a number 4 in the UK charts and a 9 in the US, turning the band from being a popular act into one of the main attractions in the 70s. 2 tracks from the album, Aqualung and Locomotive Breath, have been main staples in rock FM stations all over the world for nearly 5 decades now, and have been played live by the band in every concert for as many years. So, if you need a good sounding vinyl copy to fill a hole in your collection, look no further and get these pressing. This is the 2011 remastered and remixed edition by Stephen Wilson. It is inexpensive and has been reissued many times since. The sound is clear, dynamic, instruments are well placed, and the soundstage is huge. The 180-gram pressing is absolutely flat, dead white and flawless, and housed in a professional black polylined inner sleeve. The original paintings by American artist Bertha Silverman, albeit untextured, shine as never before on its sturdy gatefold cover. Although this reissue is digitally sourced, it will surely satisfy even the most demanding ears. And if that wouldn't be enough, it comes with a 28-page booklet full of glossy and rare pictures and accompanying stories that make for a compelling read. There are also coloured vinyl versions to pick from, plain black, light green and clearly white. No, clarity white. This version is also available on CD and as a box set commemorating the 40th anniversary, which includes a 2-CD DVD featuring additional 1970 and 1971 recordings, 5.1 surround mixes, the 1974 quad mix, and flat transfers of both the Aqualung album and the Life is a Long Song EP. However, if you grew up with the old mix upon release, if this album is a part of the soundtrack of your life, one of your top 10 favorites, or Desert Island Records you couldn't live without, you better bear with me and listen to my story. I first got acquainted with Aqualung by September 1977, my first year at secondary school. I was 12, going on 13. In the distance, in the corridors, I could hear the senior kids raving about their record players and their vinyl connections of bands I hadn't even heard of. Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, The Who, you name it. All I had was this tape recorder and a couple of Elvis and Beatles cassettes, if memory serves. My dad had a stereo, right, but I wasn't allowed anywhere near it. Shortly after, I got some cash in my pocket. Birthday present. In a blink, I dashed down the long avenue leading to the record shop to get hold of one of the albums the big boys were praising so highly. Aqualung instantly caught my attention. That medieval feel, that strange figure on the front cover, that long-haired beggar with a menacing smile on his face. I was hooked for life. You know how that is. It was a cassette tape, but it was mine. I played the hell out of it every single day for months till there was literally no music coming out of the speakers. It was now time for the vinyl, but what good was it without a turntable? I begged my parents for one, went down on my knees, got A+ at school, silent strikes, hunger strikes, and after a hard-fought battle, I eventually got one of those all-in-one devices, I think they're called. The shop owner gifted us a copy of Aqualung for the purchase. He'd seen me every afternoon passing by the shop window for a lusting gaze over the record. A year later, 1980, I purchased a second copy. My 1979 LP was absolutely battered, and the tape was nowhere to be found. This new reissue was a kind of letdown. The sleeve was not textured, and there was no Gothic writing on the spine. Fortunately, they sounded the same, probably made from the same stampers. But something unexpected came as a huge blow. None of the copies I had featured Locomotive Breath on side 2. It had been replaced by Glory Road, a 1974 leftover from the War Child album. This was due to Franco's censorship. However, I had a copy of Living in the Past, the second LP compilation, which included Locomotive Breath, so no big deal. In the 1980s, with CDs all over the place, I got hold of an unremastered digital UK version with the appropriate track list, of course. I still these Japanese-made CDs one of the best sounding copies. Mastering is Aqualung-like, with a great dynamic range and very comfortable. Never felt the need of a further CD purchase, but couldn't resist buying the 1996 25th anniversary remaster, which proved to be a real disaster. One of the worst sounding CDs I've ever heard. So I taped the Ian Anderson interview to my computer and immediately got rid of it. With the turn of the century, I had an ADSL connection and a decent computer, so I spent hours online reading about the different versions in other countries. I was naive and believed every word the so-called experts said. There was no consensus as to which the best-sounding version was, including audiophile reissues. But they all agreed that the original UK first pressing was bass locking, and there was no clear winner between the DCC version and the classical record reissues. The German fresh pressing was highly regarded, so I provided myself with an ear mint copy. Prices at the time were not outrageous. Remember, it was still CD days, so it was inexpensive. I never warmed up to this version, right? It had bass, all right, but it sounded very dark, muffled, and with hardly any instrument separation. Time to move on and get something else. I found out that the renowned Porky, the great British mastering engineer, had mastered some copies in the mid-70s, so without hesitation, I ordered one from Discogs. This copy. The record was in pristine condition, near mint as promised, and it sounded great. But, and it was a big but, the title track only had one riff. Hard blow. I still can't figure out how something like that could ever happen. Disillusioned, I put on hold my quest for the real thing. But at the time, I loved going to flea markets and thrift stores to try my luck. Something I just don't do these days because prices have gone up the roof and sellers are very unreliable. On one occasion, I spotted an original US first pressing on the Reprise label. It was in very good condition and the price was laughable. This copy is probably one of the best I've heard. Lively, fast-paced, engaging and groovy. A keeper for sure. But as it always happens with Aqualung, there was a deal breaker. Not only the starting riff on the title track was missing, but also the last verse on Wind Up and Ensuing Laughter. Unbelievable. I still play this copy now and again, because it's really captivating and fun to listen to. Later on, one day, out of the blue, I found the seller offering a Porky pressing with both riffs in the title track. He sent me the pictures of the album and swore by God it was in a very decent condition. I forked out a reasonable amount and it came in the mail in a couple of days. This copy. I found this pressing good enough. It was very nicely mastered, with great dynamics and a great bass presence. The end of the road. Or so, I presume. Just a few months ago, a close friend of mine, a real vinyl addict, told me about an Italian mastering engineer called Piero Mannucci. Sorry if mispronounced. He said his masterings were hit and miss. But he had done Aqualung and it sounded gorgeous. Copies were dirt cheap. So I took the plunge. This copy. On first listen, I was in tears. It sounded Aqualung-like, with great dynamics, very crankable, and nice instrument separation. But the real giveaway is the bass. Melodic one required in the soft acoustic tracks, but hard hitting on the rocking ones. I'm a happy camper now. Will I be buying more Aqualungs in the near future? I really hope not, but you never know. It's Aqualung, a lifetime obsession. Thanks for watching and listening. Please subscribe, but most importantly, leave comments, suggestions, opinions about these albums or any other Jethro Tull ones. I'll be back with more vinyl reviews and more stories. Bye for now.